Well, hello, everybody. Welcome into the Shelby County High School Football Pregame Show, a Round 2 playoff edition as we get geared up for a big night of high school football action featuring several Shelby County teams. We've got Spain Park right here in a big second-round matchup as they look to advance to the quarterfinals of the 6A playoffs. They take on Russell County at home. Andrew made the long road trip down 280 to Auburn as the Tigers going to take on the Thompson Warriors from right here in Shelby County. A top 5 battle there. Number 1 Auburn, number 5 Thompson for a spot in the semifinals in Class 7A. A huge showdown taking place there. We've seen that matchup in the state championship game twice in the last few seasons as well. So a big one there. We've also got the Vincent Yellow Jackets in action on the road at Winston County tonight as well. Cornerstone, they win last night at home against Evangel Montgomery. They advanced back to the AISA 8-man state championship game. So congratulations to James Lee and the Cornerstone Chargers as well. So we look ahead now to tonight. 3 big games to talk about, Andrew. We're both at 2 of them, but let's start in the other game, another big one tonight that's going to feature the Vincent Yellow Jackets as they take on Winston County. And Vincent in round 1, Andrew, they looked about as good as you can look. 49-0 win over Sandrock to kick off the playoffs. Now 9-2, but they get an undefeated region champion in Winston County sitting at 11-0 here to kick off the second round of the playoffs. So a big one tonight for the Vincent Yellow Jackets.
Absolutely. You could make an argument this is the biggest game in Vincent's history, going for that first quarterfinals berth within school history, and it'll be one of the biggest tests of their year as they face an undefeated Winston County team. As we broke down earlier this week on the show, Winston County hasn't exactly faced the strongest competition yet, but they do have an 11-0 record, and they have done a lot of damage to their opponents this year, scoring 43 points per game, allowing just 9 points per game on the season. So Vincent is going to need to come ready to play, but I do believe the momentum is in Vincent's favor in this one. You look at how they handled that 49-0 win over Sandrock last week. I think that really showed a lot about the defense especially. We know that the offense can get going, but it was the defense that needed to regain its form that we saw towards the beginning of the season, and it did exactly that. That has me a lot more confident going into this matchup that while it's going to be very close, something tells me that this is Vincent's year. They have the momentum on their side. I really do believe that this team believes in itself and is ready to make history. We'll see what happens tonight. Sarah Turner will have you down there doing coverage, but as for me, I'm picking the Vincent Yellow Jackets.
When we talked earlier in the week about the strength of schedule, you look at Winston County, 11-0, undefeated right now in the season, but it's a team that hasn't played the most challenging schedule. Opponents' record sitting at 56-71 on the season. Meanwhile, Vincent's opponents a combined 62-63 on the season. So how does that play into this game tonight as well?
Well, I think it just shows Vincent's a more battle-tested team. I think that's what Coach Weatherford wanted to do when he assembled that schedule. You get a 5A team in Montevallo, you get a team that's given you fits in the past in B.B. Comer, you get a tough rivalry game in Childersburg as well, and then you just schedule around that as well with the biggest region in Class 2A, arguably. Teams like Tuscaloosa Academy, Sulligent, who this Vincent team could face next week should it win. It's a really tough region, and Vincent just about took the top of it, comes in second place behind Tuscaloosa Academy. And I really do think that this Vincent team is looking poised to surprise some people. Obviously has not been a perennial contender deep into the playoffs. Like I said earlier, this would be their first trip to the quarterfinals in school history. But I think this team ready to capitalize on that talented senior class that they have and make the most of their moment. They saw what happened 2 years ago at this point in the second round. I think they have that taste in their mouth. And I know all season long they've been talking about being the best team in Vincent history. Tonight's a really good chance for them to get that done.
Yeah, chance to make school history tonight with the win. So big opportunity for them. And when I look at the breakdown of this game, I look at last week for Winston County, a team that has played a weaker schedule in the first round of the playoffs, taking on Cold Springs, a team that's only scoring 23.1 points per game. And defensively, Winston County struggled in that game. Vincent scoring 7 points per game more than what Cold Springs was going into that matchup. So I honestly think that Vincent's offense is going to have a little bit of success tonight to pair with a defense that's played some really good football throughout the season. But that's what is the interesting part of this game to me, because Winston County giving up 9.6 points per game on average, but last week struggled defensively. To me, that shows the strength of their schedule, and that's why I think Vincent is going to win this football game. I think you could call that a little bit of an upset,
Right.
and the fact that we're both going that way is probably concerning. But yeah, no, I mean, it's like you're picking against the spread and everybody goes one way. It's typically going to go the opposite direction. But when you look at it, I mean, this is just a Vincent team that's played some really good opponents. The region got a little bit more challenging, in my opinion, this year, and they made their way through it in strong fashion. And I just think at this point in the season, they're a team that is playing together. They've got that passion. And I think they're going to find it once again. And they played so well last week, too.
Right.
I know against a little bit easier of an opponent, but 49-0, they were clicking on both sides of the ball. I think if they come out, set that tone, running the football early in this game, they're going to have a strong chance to really put some pressure on Winston County early, because that defense is going to really try to suffocate them from the start as well. So I, too, like the Vincent Yellow Jackets in that matchup. We'll see if they can pull it off, make school history, get to the quarterfinals of the Class 2A playoffs, which would just be remarkable in a continued storyline for Lucas Weatherford and what he's done for that Vincent football team. So a good one to keep our eye on. Like you said, Sarah's going to be down there covering that game for us. It's going to be a lot of fun to keep up with her updates there on X tonight as we look to see if Vincent can pull off that win. So an entertaining one there. Let's turn our attention now to 6A as the Spain Park Jaguars head back into the locker room. Next time we see them, they're going to be taking the field here for this big second-round matchup against Russell County, as we're about 25 minutes now from kickoff. And this is a big, big game, and you can tell entering the stadium tonight that Spain Park's in business mode. This is a team that's got aspirations of a championship. They know they didn't play their best defensively last week, so they're going to come out, try to improve on that side of the ball. But this offense, they keep up with everybody. They can make big plays when they need to. The defense knows how to make big plays when they need to, and they're going to need to do that tonight against a Russell County offense that's got strong quarterback play and is going to want to throw the football down the field. And that's exactly what killed Spain Park last week defensively, is the passing attack that they face. So, Andrew, first question for you, is the defense going to make strides this week to improve from what we saw a week ago?
I think they have to in order to compete in this one. You can't let a team like Russell County with the dynamic offense that they have into this football game. They got multiple dynamic receivers. They've got a strong quarterback over there as well for the Warriors. So this Spain Park defense is going to have its handful on multiple fronts, especially within the pass game. So you're going to need to come ready to work and ready to perform, limit the big plays, and cause some turnovers within this one. I really do think that Spain Park has the playmaking ability. As we said earlier, this defense, while it hasn't always been able to get consistent stops, it knows how to perform when the moment is right. We even saw that last week when the defense took a little bit of a break, let McGill Tulin get back into last week's contest. But ultimately, the defense did what it had to at the end, and the offense just continued to click on the offensive end. They say sometimes the best offense is defense. Sometimes the best defense can be offense as well. So I think that if Spain Park is able to score some more points on their end as well, like they have throughout much of the season, scoring 37.5 points per game, it is a hair under Russell County's average for the year, but I do think that this Spain Park team once again has the goods to outpace the Warriors.
Yeah, and, before we move on, got bird dogs popping up there. Finally, real football weather, and it came at the right time. Playoff weather is the best weather for football. We got a chilly night and great weather for football. We're going to be cold trying to tweet out updates tonight, but other than that, this is perfect weather for high school football. We've been teasing it all year, and finally we got fall weather tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these games in some good football weather tonight. But before we move on, I got to tell you about Scooter's Coffee, proud sponsor of the Spain Park Jaguars here on the Shelby County High School Football Pregame Show. Conveniently located right there on Highway 280. You got one in Chelsea, you got one in Inverness next to Chipotle and Home Depot. Make sure you stop by this fall, this winter. They're going to have all the treats that you want, no matter what you're doing. If you're heading down to Auburn for the football game tomorrow, great chance to stop on 280 there to get your scooters fixed, get your caffeine for today. If you're heading out doing some early Christmas shopping, Black Friday coming up in a couple weeks, Scooters is going to get you up and ready to roll on that early morning to get your shopping going and doing it the right way. Make sure you visit them right there on Highway 280. They've got all those delicious fall flavors out now. They've got the delicious Christmas flavors coming out as well. So check that out the full menu, scooterscoffee.com. See everything they have to offer, all their delicious treats with their cake bites, their egg omelet bites, and all of their delicious drinks, whether you want a hot coffee, you want ice, you want frappe, blender, smoothie, whatever you want, they're going to take care of it right there at Scooters Coffee. And the service is incredible. You hardly ever see a long line at Scooters because as soon as you pull into that drive-thru and order, you pull up to the window and you're gone 5 seconds later. They're going to have it ready for you, and you're going to be on with your day in a heartbeat. So make sure to visit them right there at Scooters Coffee, Highway 280, next to Chipotle and Home Depot in Inverness, and next to Buffalo Wild Wings and Arby's out there in Chelsea. A great, great place supporting the Spain Park Jaguars this year. Andrew, as we move on with this game, you look at Spain Park's offense. They made some big plays down the stretch. They played good the entire game last week, but some big plays down the stretch in that matchup. You look at what Brock Bradley's able to do, throwing the football with Corey Barber out wide, but then you look at CJ Calley and Dakari Shanks. It's a dynamic offense, and you don't know who's going to be the big-time difference maker each and every week. Tonight it could be the passing game that makes the difference. It could be one of the running backs, or, again, it could be both of the running backs, and I think that's an intriguing part of this matchup tonight.
Yeah, it's what makes Spain Park one of the most dynamic and fun offenses to watch within the entire state of Alabama, and one of the most dangerous at that as well, because of, like you said, they can make plays from anywhere on the field. They can make it from the running back position, either one of their running backs. They can throw it on the deep ball to Corey Barber, and even mix it up with some great plays. We've seen some laterals that go to CJ Cowley, him and Dakari Shanks linking up in the pass game as well. And we always see a couple of receivers emerge alongside Barber to help him out as well, in between his bigger plays as well. It's just a testament to Brock Bradley's strong quarterback play under center for the Jags, and I really do think that that's always going to be the key down the stretch. Sure, the defense will need to show up and play. We saw how crucial that needs to be last week. But this offense absolutely needs to continue to be clicking on all cylinders. And throughout the season, we haven't really seen a reason to doubt the Spain Park offense so far. So while I do think that Russell County will give them a solid run for their money tonight, this is no cakewalk whatsoever. But I like the Jags in this one to win and get one step closer to a state championship.
Well, I got your prediction then. So what's your one big key to the game when you look at this matchup?
Simply put, you've got to dominate in the secondary. I know I obviously just talked about how the offense and how crucial it is over there, but you need to shut down as many options for Russell County as possible, because that not only restricts them to running the football mainly as well, but that could potentially lead to some sacks as well. As Russell County's quarterback takes a little bit more time to scramble, some plays start breaking down, I really do think that could be the recipe to some shorter drives, get them backed up a little bit as well, and let the Spain Park defense really take control for this team, opening up the game for the offense as well.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it. That is, I mean, nail on the head there. The secondary is going to have to step up, make big-time plays. And they started to do that in the second half, or in the fourth quarter last week, really that last 13-ish minutes of the game. They stepped up and made plays, but it's because the defensive front stepped up and made plays too. They were able to finally get some pressure in the backfield. They got home on a couple of sacks and made big plays in the secondary because of that. You could tell they started to feel the pressure at the quarterback position a week ago. Spain Park's going to have to start that early in this matchup. They're going to have to get Russell County uncomfortable throwing the football early in this football game. If they can do that, then that's the recipe for success to me tonight. Ultimately, what makes the difference in addition to that is that Spain Park's played a difficult schedule, number one, but two, this is a team that knows how to make plays when they need to make plays in the big moments. They've showcased it throughout the season in several big games this year. You look at Hoover in particular early in the season to get just their third win ever over the Buccaneers. You look at the matchup against Helena. You look at last week in the clutch. This defense knows how to make plays, and you can have faith in an offense that's going to be able to, because they can spread the field, make plays when it matters as well. I think that ultimately gives me confidence in Spain Park being able to pick up a win and advance on to the quarterfinals of the Class 6A playoffs. Just, we've seen it too many times, and if this is a tight game, I trust Spain Park to be able to pull it out at the end. They talk about the weight room and being physical and big. This is the kind of matchup where that shows up. I think Spain Park is going to prove that on the field tonight. So a great opportunity here at home for the Spain Park Jaguars to advance on here in the Class 6A playoffs. And that takes us to Class 7A, where we've got a huge top 5 showdown to close out the show. Before we get there, I got to tell you about our friends over at 3D Air Services. And finally, I got the flannel on tonight. I got a hoodie on. We're seeing the first signs of winter slowly heading our way. And when you need to get that heater tuned up for the wintertime, you know who to call. It's 3D Air Services to take care of all of your HVAC needs. 205-664-3501, 205-664-3501, 3dairservices.com. Jay Carr and his certified crew are going to take great care of you throughout the high school football season, throughout the year. Whether you're looking to get the heater tuned up, whether you need to get the air conditioner tuned up going into next spring and summer, they're going to be there to take care of you. They're proud residents of Shelby County since 2005. They believe in the power of teamwork, community, dedication. That's why they're pouring into our show. That's why they're pouring in to the Thompson Warriors. It's why they poured into so many other teams throughout the season as well. So make sure you support 3D Air Services. Give them a call. Jay Carr and his certified team, like I said, they do a great job. They're going to take great care of you here as we head into these winter months. Andrew, it takes us to the big one, our game of the week. Thompson, they hit the road, long road trip down to Auburn for a huge matchup. 2 top 5 teams. Number 1, Auburn, the team that many expect to win a state championship this year, the team that I think coming into the season and very early on in the season, I thought that Auburn was the best team ready to compete for a state championship. Last year looked like Central Phoenix City. This year looks like Auburn. But this is a Thompson football team that is used to playing for state championships. They've played for a state title in each of the last 6 years. We obviously know they won 4 in a row before they lost last year in a very tight game against a very, very good Central Phoenix City team. This is a team that knows how to turn it on this time of year. And when they're doubted, that's when they play their best. And they are being doubted by us too. I've seen that already circulating around, and they're being doubted by others. And so this is a time for Thompson to step up and shine tonight on the road against the number 1 team in the state.
Absolutely. We said it earlier this week that this Thompson team needs to step up and prove it in a big game like this because this is the biggest game of the season. This is a state title game quality matchup between Auburn and Thompson because you have both of these two teams who are very solid and can hurt you in a lot of different ways. Thompson is by no means down and out of this game. They have many chances to prevail within this one because of their strengths on both sides of the ball. Let's start on the defense because we've harped on that for so long this season. This defense can not only get stops and make drives short for them, they could also score points as well. We saw that with the scoop and score last week, along with the safety. They have multiple safeties on the season as well. So if they're able to get some points off the defense, that could really help them as well. But you're likely not against a tough Auburn offense led by Jackson Kilgore at quarterback, throwing for over 2,000 yards, only throwing 2 interceptions. Of course, someone like Anquan Fagan's probably going to take that as a challenge, try to get one on Kilgore from there. But you got to lock down multiple skill positions. Peyton Plott, a really good receiver for the Tigers, and you're going to have to get past a couple of really strong guys up on the line as well who made the All-Star game for Alabama as well. So this is a really good offense all around, one that is scoring close to 50 points per game, outpacing outpacing Thompson in pretty much every facet on that as well. But let's not act like Thompson doesn't have firepower either.
Well, I was going to say, honestly, this Auburn team looks like the Thompson championship teams of old, the ones that were scoring in the 40s, giving up 15 or less. And that's Auburn this year. But when you look at Thompson, offense has been a work in progress throughout the year. But this defense is as dominant as any. They've got 3 losses, all in overtime by 1 point. And aside from that, they've given up 20 or less points in every single game this season. This is a team that their defense is so good that you know you're going to be in the game. You know you're going to be in this football game. So then it comes down to the preparation and practice and what this offense is going to be able to do. You look at Trent Seaburn and the talent that he has at the quarterback position, but it's about the guys around him. We've seen the receivers finally step up and grow over the last few weeks of the season and heading into last week in the first round of the playoffs. And I think that's the biggest key for giving Thompson their chance to win. You know the defense is going to play well. So how does Darian Mosley play? How does R.J. Evans and Mike Dujon play at the running back position and what they're able to do to spread the field? Price Lewis at receiver as well. Brooks Byers. Those guys are going to have to step up. Nowhere to be, nowhere Seburn's going to put the ball. But they're going to have to step up and play well offensively throwing the football tonight to have their best chance.
Yeah, I think for both of these two teams, it doesn't come down to your best options because you're likely going to draw some of the best assignments from the defense. It's usually going to come down to your depth options. How good are your third and fourth options going to be? I don't think earlier in the season I would have given Thompson much of a chance had they had to go to some of their deeper receivers on the depth chart. But you look at the way that this team has developed now with two pass-catching running backs in R.J. Evans and Mike Dujon, similar to what we saw last year with Dujon and A.J. Green in the backfield for them. You also look at somebody like Darian Mosley, who stepped up as a freshman and been able to lead this offense.
Biggest difference maker right now to me on the entire team.
Exactly. He's been one of the biggest breakout players in the county and is going to need to step up in a big role for this. Price Lewis been able to bring the speed as well to this team as well. And you got options like Brooks Byers, and even further down the depth chart as well, who they may not always pop up on the stat sheet and be good for 50-plus yards a game. But Trent Seaborn is able to find those guys, and they're able to make some plays when the time needs to happen. And I really do think that that's going to be what keeps the Warriors within this one, is that depth of the offense that we're seeing right now. Is it what we've seen in the past? No, absolutely not. But I do believe that this Thompson offense has gotten to a point to where it can compete in a game against a difficult defense like Auburn.
Yeah, so, well, we're up against it. I mean, we've got 10 and a half minutes until kickoff time. So let's just jump back over to it, Andrew. What's your final thoughts on this game and who's going to walk away the winner? Do we stick with what we predicted earlier in the week, which was an Auburn win?
It's getting harder for me to stick with that pick, honestly. It has nothing to do with the external pressure. It has everything to do internally because I know what this Thompson team can do at its apex. And I really do believe that it's peaking at the right time. And you can pretty much say that of pretty much every Thompson team in the playoffs. They really do like to play their best football in November, and I do believe that we're going to see the best of this Warriors team tonight. Whether that is enough to beat the Auburn Tigers, though, is yet to be determined, because I do believe that this Auburn team is also coming off of some very strong performances. You look at a 63-point showing against Bob Jones, where, yes, the defense allowed 27 points to a Patriots side up there as a number 4 team coming out of the Huntsville area. But I really do believe that this defense, as we've seen in the past, in some of their biggest games of the season, is able to lock it and deliver some really big plays for this team. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I do have to stick with the Tigers for that reason, just because they have shown that strength over the course of the season consistently.
Yeah, and I completely think this is a toss-up. Thompson doesn't lose 3 overtime games by 1 point if they're not going to be in every game. Think about the teams they played. You look at Grayson in that opener, lose that one by 1 point in overtime. They go on to beat Lipscomb on the road in Nashville. You lose to Hoover by 1 point. Clay Chalkville, same exact situation. You lose that one by 1 point. So against these really good defensive football teams, right in it, all the way up to the end and into overtime in many cases, they're going to be in this game. And if the offense comes to play, if they run the ball well, and if Darian Mosley has the games that he's had down the stretch of the season, this is a Thompson team that will win this football game. But I've got to stick with what I thought from really the start of the season, with Auburn being the best team this year. They kind of like Central Phoenix last year. Like I said earlier, this team just seems built for a championship this year. Thompson's still a lot of young playmakers at some skilled positions there, and I think that is the one difference you can look for in this game. But, man, I'm telling you, Andrew, this is going to be one. I hope it's a great one for you, and I think it will be, because this Thompson team's built to compete in these kind of games. They're not going to be out of it. They're going to have a chance to win in the second half. If they can come out and build a touchdown or 2 lead in the first half, then they're going to win this football game. The defense is too good to give something like that up. If they get into the 20s, in my opinion, then they're probably going to win this football game. So a big opportunity for this offense to step up in the biggest moment of the season. But ultimately, right now, with the way it stands, with the thoughts that I have about Auburn, I still think that they're the better overall team this year, built for a championship. Regardless, I said it earlier this week, winner of this game, I think, wins the state championship. I think this is for the state championship. As long as they stay focused up here, this is the big one from here until you get to that state championship game. in a few weeks. So going to be a fun one. Great opportunity for both of those teams down there in Auburn. Andrew is going to have you covered at Andrew T. Simonson on X. You can follow him. Andrew, any closing thoughts on your game, on any of the games tonight as we close down here just a couple minutes away from kickoff?
Well, I'm glad you can talk for longer than a minute and a half because you just breezed through just about all of the national anthem here. And I'm grateful for Nick Young as well, who will be here with me running coverage as well. He's been holding my phone so graciously for this entire football show. But I said it before this week in my predictions article. I think across the slate, this is the 4 best matchups that we've had throughout the season, and every single team is going to face its biggest challenge this week. I've been saying it for a while that we're going to see what these teams are made of when they hit the postseason. But these are the biggest tests from some of the best teams within their classifications. And now we're just going to see just what these teams are made of and if they can continue to survive and advance in their ultimate goal for a state championship. I'm really pumped about all 4 of these matchups. I hope that you are as well. And get ready to lock in for a fun night of coverage.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Heading to the national anthem here at Spain Park. Follow along on X. We'll have you updated all night. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you next week and enjoy your football Friday night.
Very good.